1900s, oysters were on the menu. They were a very common dish that both the rich and poor ate. People still eat oysters today, but because of all the pollution in the oceans, it's getting harder and harder to find live and clean oysters because of the over-harvesting and pollution, and those that are still available can be very expensive.
The oyster population decreased greatly due to overharvesting. They are taken out of the river in big piles like these. But the oysters were not multiplying as quickly as we were eating them. As a result, there are not as many oysters in modern times. Oysters are now saved for occasions because there are not many oysters left in the rivers here in the city. We only eat them now every now and then. Even though overharvesting decreased the oyster population, it was not the only cause of oyster decrease. When the population of New York City increased, there was still no sewer system, so instead of bringing the sewage to treatment plants, they dumped the sewage straight into the harbor, where the oysters grew.
There are many reasons to save the oysters because not only do they feed us, but they also filter the water. They filter the water by pumping water through their gills, and the plankton, algae, and other particles become filtered out. Because our sewer systems were made a really long time ago, they weren't built to handle millions of people's sewage. As a result of this, when there's up to 1/10 of an inch of rain, the pipes can't handle all the liquid, and it must release some of the raw sewage into the harbor where we took the oysters from, and that we kayak in, and where we swim in for the New York Triathlon. How do you feel about that?
The Hudson River is contaminated with pathogenic bacteria and human waste. This pollution contaminates the oysters so that when people eat them, they get sick from the bacteria and die.
Help by trying to decrease the pollution going into the harbor and stopping sewage overflows. We can also help by making sure that we are not over-harvesting oysters and that we aren't destroying their homes. Restaurants can also help. They can help by giving oyster shells to the Billion Oyster Project to help produce more oyster reefs in the New York harbor.